started the day at the city of Hierapolis. This was a healing center and an ancient synagogue where we saw Philip's tomb. It was really, really hot out. So hot that we saw a woman hiking the mountain in her bikini. If I would have had her body, I probably would have done the same thing. We then went to this mountain that was completely white and covered with mineral deposits, and the springs that were on top of the mountain were apparently so rich with minerals that it was supposed to renew your youth. I'm pretty sure that was just a myth because looking around, it didn't look like it really worked. You would probably have a better chance of getting bit by a vampire and staying young than swimming in the springs. Apparently, Cleopatra used to travel once a year there for beauty treatments. I don't know why anyone would want to look like Elizabeth Taylor. I mean, it obviously didn't work for her. Our next stop was the church at Philadelphia. It was completely surrounded by a modern city, and little had been uncovered. I had no idea that Philadelphia was actually in Turkey. I always thought that that was in Pennsylvania. You learn something new every day. We then visited the city of Sardis, which was also part of the 7 churches in Revelation. We saw a Roman road and the largest Jewish synagogue uncovered. The altar was still even intact. Brent was going to use me as a sacrifice, but then I reminded him that Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice, and we don't need to do that anymore. Dr. Watson again gave us a brief history and explained the biblical context of the ancient city of Sardis. Then we saw the temple of Artemis. The landscape in the background actually looked like a castle for giant ants. Our last stop was the ancient city of Smyrna, another one of the 7 churches in Revelation. Dr. Watson expressed how Smyrna, along with Philadelphia, were the only churches that did not receive a complaint in their letters. Instead, Jesus encourages the church at Smyrna in saying that he knows of their affliction and poverty even though they are rich, speaking of the great persecution that they were facing. He encouraged them to be faithful unto death and promises if they would, they'd receive a crown of life. Another cool thing about the Turkish people is that they have really, really beautiful singing. And they embrace it by singing it in the streets every night. When we were at the church of Smyrna, we actually heard 3 different calls at the same time. And they just all blended so harmoniously. James especially loved the music and kept trying to replicate it the rest of the trip. That night, a bunch of us went down to the water to see the sea. It was really interesting because the 6 of us piled in a little 4-seater taxi cab while I was in the back with Rebecca squishing Jesse and Rachel. James was in the front seat trying to speak English to a taxi driver that only spoke Turkish. Pretty sure one of the basic rules of traveling is learn the language before you go. Oops. Our tour guide Magic made sure to tell us not to forget that our hotel was one of 2 hotels with the same name, and to remember your address if we were going to leave. Of course, what do we do but forget to write down the address of our hotel? When you put us in a foreign country and take away our cell phones and our Google Maps, I mean, what do you expect? We pretty much were lost until we prayed to God that he would get us back, and then we got back safely. To top off our already chaotic adventure, we just decided to all pile in the elevator and trip it up to the 8th floor. Except for Michael. He said that he hadn't worked out in 4 days, and so he wanted to run up all 8 flights of steps. I mean, we should have known that something was up, but we didn't really realize why the elevator was stopping on every floor until later we realized it was Michael. He had pushed the button on every single floor.